What rules were put in place because of you?
My older brother got a curfew enforced at Boy Scout camp when one of the leaders noticed him walking around the area in the daytime with his eyes closed, counting steps. He may have just been practicing being blind, but the adults assumed he was figuring out how to get around at night without lights so he could get into some kind of mischief. Which, knowing my brother, was also possible. P.S. If you're one of those people saying, but, you're not thinking like an 11-year-old.
This sounds like some Calvin and Hobbes stuff.
He'll tell him you said so. It will tickle him, I imagine.
Minor one, but when I was in elementary school we had one of those bridge building challenges using toothpicks and hot glue. My partner and I realized if we just coated the entire thing with a thick-ass layer of hot glue it would make our bridge strong as hell. So we used like a full pack of hot glue sticks, like 20 of them. It was more glue than toothpicks. So after that they limited the number of glue sticks you could use.
I mean, technically you demonstrated that when you combine materials together they often become stronger than they would have been apart. Like when you put a steel rod inside of concrete.
You can no longer skip to the end of training videos at Wendy's. I completed about 10 hours of this training when it was implemented, after I'd already been working there a year, in about 45 minutes. Open, skip, 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 do test, rinse and repeat. I was quite proud of my estimated time 45 minutes, time to completion 2 minutes. My store, which is a franchise location, got a call from corporate like an hour later. I didn't have to redo any of it though.
In history class in high school, there was about 10 of us really close friends. We would take every opportunity to make "your mum" jokes. A couple months into class the teacher made us sign a treaty promising to stop making fun of each other's moms. We signed it, and started making fun of each other's dads.
Improvise. Adapt. Overcome.
I got the Ryan Steakhouse buffets in Louisville, Kentucky to put baby changing stations in the men's bathrooms back in the 90s.
I got our HR box taken away at work because the HR lady threatened not to pay us if we missed a clock in or clock out. In our defense, the phones didn't always work and the clock-in system was really unreliable. And I printed out the law stating that was illegal, highlighted it, and put it in her box when no one was around. She threw an unholy fit and tried to figure out who put it in her box, and from him on everything had to be handed in personally. Lol.
She sounds like the worst kind of HR person, honestly. Like she should darn well know that's illegal.
Oh, she's a grade AC. Lol. I'm so thankful that I will be leaving in a few weeks.
At a ballpark I worked concessions at, they had an all-you-can-eat promo day where tickets were more expensive than usual, but concessions around the stadium were free, excluding alcohol. So I worked that day and of course it was chaos, but when the lines started dying down later in the game they started sending some of the hourly employees home, myself included. But of course, I didn't go home. After I clocked out, I stayed in the stadium and got some cheeseburgers and Philly steak and soda and found an empty seat in the crowd for the last few innings. Next year, same promo, but new rule for staff. If you get sent home early, you have to actually leave the stadium.
Boo, you work concessions, the one free day a year, you deserve it the most.
Golf users can no longer return an unlimited hash of balls for tokens. Quote, when I was maybe 12-ish there was a kids' outdoor play area. Go-karts, batting cages and indoor was something like a Chuck E. Cheese, token-based games, etc. You could get a wristband for maybe $15 and it'd get you unlimited rides, mini-golf and some other activities. Everything else cost tokens. When you finished golfing you'd get 2 tokens for bringing your ball back. Unlimited golf, 50 cents worth of play value inside. So my friends and I would go there, speed run 2 golf games and give the balls back. $1 to our pockets. Later on we started just fishing balls out of the water hazards and turning them in. Subtly at first and then in bulk later. The guys working there didn't care or actively laughed at it. So we'd have a few hundred tokens. Then we started selling them 5 for $1. We stopped buying the unlimited bands. I'd bike there and earn $25 in a couple of hours. Management eventually caught on and altered the token for ball exchange.
Lil hustler.
I don't think it was a rule, but it was kind of an unspoken thing. I was the only brown kid in my school and would act out for attention, acceptance, and my classmates would get a huge laugh out of it, but I would be sent to the principal's office every day. I think my principal knew I wasn't a bad kid just looking for attention. He moved a permanent desk into his office for me, and every day when I got sent down I would sit there. Had my name on it and everything. By the end of that school year I would pack snacks for both of us, lol. Haven't thought about that principal in a while, but I hope he is well and was patient with other kids as he was with me. Update, I tracked down what school he's currently working at, called to find out when he'd get a free moment, and they said he makes time to speak to parents and students after school at 3:15. Going to wait in the office until he's free. Wish me luck, hopefully he remembers me.
In middle school I would use Sharpies to tattoo myself. Other kids thought it was cool, so I started charging $1 per drawing wherever they wanted. Principal found out, and after I wouldn't stop, she put a ban on Sharpies for the entire school. Even the teachers couldn't bring them in. I'm a tattoo artist now.
I bet you did a ton of that cool S-letter thing that every middle schooler is obsessed with drawing. Male students are not allowed to wear hair accessories. We had the rule about hair not touching collars, couldn't be past eyebrows, or over the ears. I grew my hair out and just put it up in headbands. After receiving multiple detentions and fighting them and winning, the next year, they made the rule.
Although you could theoretically use just gel to form your hair into a beehive. Or turn it into a bun. Or braid it from the nape of your neck up to your forehead and then back down the center. So many choices.
Our company operates on Discord, and a lot of people just made it so their personal Discord became their professional Discord rather than making a second account. It made it easy for managers, including me, to invade the lives of their employees by pinging them when they saw a green light in Discord. I wrote a long email to the directors about the separation of work and home life since we are a complete remote company. I suggested that we make it a rule for people to have a work Discord that they log out of at the end of the day so that any messages sent after hours can be dealt with the next day. Since we are a remote company, people are in many time zones, and I don't want to invade someone's evening or early morning when I am in the midst of my work day. The directors agreed, and it became a thing. It is annoying to juggle two accounts, but it is better than people in different time zones being up in each other's poo all the time. What I would like to happen is that we use Slack instead, but everyone likes Discord.
My elementary school was located in the center of the neighborhood, and my 5th grade class was the first to get outdoor trailers for classrooms. We'd ask for bathroom passes and then walk home. Next year they built a fence around the school.
This is a keep it to yourself issue. You can't let everyone know the get out of school free trick, because someone will notice if everyone is doing it. My junior high made a rule against yo-yos in class after I tried to do a trick and my yo-yo flew across the room and broke a glass beaker set. I'm sorry, guys.
At least you didn't kill goldfish like Bart.
I put a croissant in one of those hotel toasters. It soon became engulfed in flames and needed extinguishing. Next day at breakfast they made a sign that said, "If you'd like your croissant toasted, please ask a member of staff."
How?
English media class in high school. End of year project was to film a movie. Me and 3 other guys decided to film a gangster movie. Long story short, while filming the final shootout scene behind a local post office, we were swarmed by police and almost got shot. One of the guys got arrested and my teacher almost got fired. The following year, the curriculum was changed and the final project was now an essay to be completed on a popular movie. Edit. I guess I'll add more details. We were filming a shootout scene behind the post office. What we didn't know was that there was a retirement residence right next to it. Apparently several of the residents called 911 about a bunch of kids shooting each other outside. 5 police cruisers rolled up and surrounded us. They all jumped out with guns drawn. Drop the gun, drop the gun, get on the ground. We were all face down on the pavement with guns to our heads. Later, one cop is like, "They're fake. They're all fake." The officers were upset. They ran our names and unfortunately, the one guy that had nothing to do with anything gets arrested. I felt so bad. He wasn't a part of the class. Just last second, we asked if he'd help us film and he agreed. They take the rest of us back to school where we're sitting in the office as a police officer reams out our teacher and a principal. I almost shot a bunch of kids. How the F are you allowing this to happen during school hours? What kind of project allows guns? Fun times. Edit 2. I have to be honest. The cops weren't being that bad. I mean, they thought they were driving into a shootout. They didn't know what to expect. As soon as they realized that the guns were fake, they let us up off the ground. We weren't even handcuffed. I've had several negative interactions with police, but this one wasn't one of them. They were just doing their job.
Local amusement park added a "no blindfolds on roller coasters" rule because of me. When I was in middle school, my friend and I thought it would enhance the overall experience if we blindfolded ourselves on the biggest roller coaster at a local amusement park. We got one of those pictures they take on the ride, and there we are, blindfolded in the middle of a tunnel, having the time of our lives. Looking back, we easily could have strangled ourselves or worse because we literally just used scarves tied around our heads. Next year we went back to the same roller coaster and they had added a "no blindfolds or loose accessories" to the list of rules before the ride.
I mean, you could also just close your eyes. But points for style.
It's been 15 years and this thought has literally never crossed my mind once. Went straight to the blindfolds.
My younger brother was always late to school, small school, and was tardy. He figured out if he just skipped first period and went to second, he was counted as being on school and no late penalty because he was at second period on time. They changed this the following year.
PPL really need to look at what behavior the rules are encouraging. I did something similar. 5 minutes late equals absent, so if I was 5 minutes late I just wouldn't go. Missed a lot of school.
I used to ride on the bottom area of the shopping carts at our nearest grocery store. I thought it was fun to put my hands on the front of it, sliding them along the ground while the cart was moving. Yes, I was gross. One sticky spot on the ground later and my hand was pulled back and thumb went right under the wheel. Crunched my little thumbnail and my mom had to remove it. Anyway, the store put up signs after that saying it's against the rules for kids to ride in the bottom of carts.
No more than 4 margaritas per person on dollar margarita and beer night. In college, some friends and I used to go to a Mexican restaurant every Thursday, and often on Saturdays for $1 margaritas. As a group, we would go through a lot, then they put the rule in, then they changed it to $2 margaritas and $1 draft beers.
Still a good deal IMHO.
Back in the day, a radio station had a weekly trivia contest. The prize was a free pizza and movie rental. Somehow my mom figured out which book they were using for the trivia questions. She bought it and memorized all the answers. Each week we would call in immediately. Sometimes we were the first, but even if we weren't it didn't matter because other people were usually just guessing. We won almost every time. Even though we changed up who would actually make the call, they eventually figured out we were all from the same household. So they made it a rule you couldn't win if your family had already won in the last month or whatever. Up till then, we enjoyed a lot of free pizzas.
Some guys at the local telephone company were call jamming any radio station giveaway in my large Midwestern city. All the stations ban any telco employee from winning. Jerry was almost daily winner.
Uber expense with drinks for clients at my work. Years ago we took a bunch of clients out and everyone had way too much to drink, so I ordered everyone Ubers home. Turned in the expense report to our account manager, just under $400 in Ubers, and she had no clue what an Uber was. I explained to my bosses that we expense drinks for clients, why not expense Ubers? Now if we pay for drinks for clients we also pay for Ubers.
This is worded suspiciously wholesome. Did they make it so if you expense drinks on the company card then you also expense Uber on the company card? Because if so, that's awesome.
Yes, we are a smaller company that has been around for a long time but is not up to date with times. We still have no website, don't have direct deposit for our employees, and we still have a freaking typewriter because one of our clients likes the font. Anyway, we are able to use the card for food, drinks now for things that were not used before, like taking Ubers home. I am the youngest person by 14 years in the office, so the Uber thing has caught on. I wish you could have been there when I explained OnlyFans to them because 4 of my coworkers have daughters in college.
No playing with the bean sprouts during recess. Next to the playground at my elementary school, there were 2 or 3 Northern Catalpa Link. I didn't have many friends in elementary school, so sometimes I would sit on the edge of the playground and play with the bean sprouts. By play with, I mean I would pick them up off the ground and fully peel them apart, butting any actual beans or seeds in my pockets. I might have the wrong type of tree there, but you get the gist. Anyway, other people gradually started doing the same thing until eventually there were just recesses when a lot of people would just play with bean sprouts the entire time. Our elementary school had strict playground rules: no running on wood chips, no playing the game wood chips, no twirling the swings, no climbing on monkey bars, etc. As more people began playing with the beans would just end up in the school. Like, everywhere. On desks? Beans. On the floor? Beans. In baskets? Beans. It became a definite issue, and with beans come bugs. As a result, they banned us from playing with the beans. I still did it though because like beans.
Local job center no longer has working USB ports on public PCs because I found private files on multiple PCs with far too much private information about strangers.
The dual major on my degree is no longer offered after I proved it would have been logistically impossible to graduate with it without my specific transfer credits.
Oh, I was a teacher who coached debate and took the team of high school students on weekend tournament trips. I had new rules every year and my co-coach and I privately called him the name of the student. E.g. the Jess rule was that if you assaulted anyone, you were sent home. The Annie rule was no debating in fake accents. There was the Dylan rule, which was no communal pee-watching in the hotel rooms. Jess rule number 2 was do everything you can to vomit into the garbage can or toilet and not on the floor. Jess rule number 3 was no yelling at nurses in the ear that you are a virgin when they ask you to take a pregnancy test. Jess rule number 4 was we can cut you off after 12 minutes of no stop talking. Jess was a character, obviously.
Did Jess take these rules in stride?
She relished in them.
No typewriters in class. I was kind of a poo kid, and while my school allowed us to use laptops, I would play video games. Primarily Warcraft 3. In class. No sound or anything, so I wasn't being a complete nuisance, but I wasn't doing my work. A teacher told me I couldn't use my laptop. I happened to have a 1950s Remington Quiet Writer portable, all-mechanical typewriter. It was anything but quiet, with all of the TAKKA. Ding. You'd expect from a typewriter. After one full day of studiously taking notes and doing my assignments via typewriter, my teacher said I could use my laptop as long as I didn't bring the typewriter to class.
That is aggressively following the rules.
I used to work for a company that had flex hours. You could work all you want but no overtime. So I would work 4 to 10-hour days and then take 3-day weekends. That lasted for about 2 months before my employer made a rule that we had to be there 5 days a week. Then I used to come in at 4 a.m. to avoid traffic, skip lunch then leave at noon, and nobody noticed for about 6 months, but they figured out I was not coming back after lunch and changed the policy so I could not come to work until 8 a.m. So I started working lots of extra time and started banking my flex time and saved up about 430 hours by October, 10 hours a week of OT, and was informed by HR that I could not roll it over in the new year, so I scheduled a 12-week vacation. Yeah, they made a new rule over that too. When COVID hit and I had to stay home, I figured out I could do a side gig, so I got a second work-from-home job and worked both until I got caught, and they laid me off. After that there was a new rule. I just like hacking the systems they set up. They were so difficult to work for that I wanted to figure out a way to make it work for me.
Don't trick your siblings or friends into eating soap. I would cut bars of Dove soap into pieces, wrap them in old candy wrappers, and pretend like they were mints. I was 8 or 9.
Military school I went to. After me, an adult is required to check the parade cannon to ensure it is clear, and closely monitor the students as they load it. There is to never be another flaming rubber chicken flying over the parade grounds ever again. Circa 1989.
Not me but a co-worker. The whole company now requires that if you have a lanyard for your name tag it must break away on the back because she got it caught on a top shelf and it choked her.
I worked at UPS and they required breakaway lanyards. I found out the hard way why this was required. My lanyard got caught under a package I put on a belt and it wasn't breaking away like it should. Next thing I know I'm moving with the belt and it's choking the poo out of me. Luckily it eventually broke off like it should, so I wasn't really hurt, but it was a terrifying experience.
No citing the Geneva Conventions or accusing management of war crimes.
A friend of mine in a military school found out the regs never stated what color the bed sheets for a bed made for inspection had to be in. So this madman went and bought Power Ranger sheets and made the perfect regulation bed. I have never seen so many SGTs lose their poo but be unable to do anything since the regs were perfectly followed. Needless to say, the next year they were updated to state sheets must be plain white.
Every one of those sergeants were inwardly impressed that someone went to the trouble to read the regs.
You may only throw the entire sword, not parts of it. Last year I fought in a non-serious HEMA historical European martial arts tournament, where it was a single-hit elimination with softer than usual swords and backup daggers, which meant that getting struck once would take you out of the entire tournament, and throwing the sword was allowed. Compared to most serious HEMA tournaments, Link. Halfway through, thanks to me, they had to amend the rule regarding throwing the sword, since after my first match, I realized the pommels on these particular swords were threaded and decided to copy a stupid meme technique made popular by this YouTuber, Link. For clarification, they counted the initial throw as the scoring action, my follow-up thrust and their flat response cut were judged as too late after the point. My brother and I got into a cattle prod sword fight at a farm store. We shocked the hell out of each other a few times and now they are locked up. We were in our 30s.
You fight like a dairy farmer. How appropriate. You fight like a cow. Asterisk gets zapped with cattle prod.
Finally, I get to add a personal story to Reddit. When I was walking home from school, I had to walk next to the road to get to my house. I decided to see if I could walk with my eyes closed. I didn't feel the transition from gravel to road, and the cars didn't honk at me as they made a line, because they thought I was deaf. I heard a noise, looked back, and ran off the street into an orchard. 2 weeks later, they put up deaf child area signs on both sides of the road I live on.
This entire thread is kidsref stupid material, but this one really takes the cake. Like, why are children always making decisions that could get them killed for fun LMAO.
Lol, to be fair, this was the worst decision I've ever made. Been doing much better since.
My elementary school pet and hobby fair now strictly says pet submissions cannot be human.
No sign language during silent lunch punishment. My lunch period was so loud we got put on silent lunch for over a month straight. I decided the only clear solution was to teach my entire table sign language so we could still talk without getting in trouble. Apparently it was unfair to the kids who didn't know how to sign, so we had to stop.
That seems like something your school should have encouraged. No playing games in the computer labs, established at UW-Madison in 1993. I may have been involved in a very raucous, impromptu, Doom LAN party that allegedly lasted up to 48 hours. Allegedly.
I had to sue my school district back in high school just to leave special education after fighting it for over a decade. Special education students now have the right built into every single IEP to attend any standard education class in their grade level or below, earn the associated credits, and also go to both health education and driver's education. They could do none asterisk of that before the lawsuit.
So if I'm getting this, you got yourself to the point where you were on par with your peers, or close to it, and they told you you had to stay in the special education classes until the end, Al? That's F-ed.
I was on par from the get-go. I was diagnosed with a form of autism at a young age, and the school treated all disorders and disabilities the same.
I had a teacher in 7th grade that banned the use of the word shamu. We apparently were using it as a joke answer to everything, which I had started doing as a once-in-a-lifetime joke for the 1-hour period. News spread, I guess, that she didn't like it, and soon all 7 class periods were giggling and saying shamu to everything she said. I came in 2 days later to a referral, an accusation that I had organized the shamu party, and the entirety of her classes were instructed to never mention shamu in her presence again. It was obscure to say the least. Edit. So I've noticed a few replies saying she thought I was calling her fat. Yes, I believe that is true. And I'm sorry that that was something I caused. I was a young kid from San Diego, who went to SeaWorld twice a month from birth to 6th grade. Moved to Northern Virginia and shamu was just sort of a concept to me. Reading the comments, I actually feel horrified. I never had any intention to do something like that. I pray that wasn't what happened.
No stealing from the cash drawer at work or theft in general. I wasn't the one stealing but was managing a hotel when I caught an employee taking $20 out of the cash drawer and putting it in his pocket. I of course fired him on the spot and figured that was the end of it. 2 weeks later I get an unemployment notice from the state showing he filed for wrongful dismissal. I responded back stating he was terminated for theft. A week later they asked me to send them our employee handbook and training materials. Shortly thereafter I received notice that they awarded him unemployment because nowhere in our handbook or training materials did it explicitly state he was not allowed to take cash from the cash drawer. You would think that would just be common sense, but apparently the state of Wisconsin didn't agree. From that moment on, it was explicitly stated in the handbook and training materials that employees were not allowed to take money or any other property that does not belong to them.
No makeup. I went to an all-boys school. And apparently this never came up until me and my emo friends rocked up in black eyeliner and lipstick.
Like a Puerto Rican wura.
Back in elementary school I remember there used to be this kid who followed me everywhere and actively tried to hurt me. When talking to a teacher about it they went, "Oh, he just has a crush on you." The next day I walk up to the kid and shove him into a wall. After that there was literally a rule in that grade, don't follow other students. That backfired poorly.
Ugh. I hate the whole, they just have a crush on you, thing when another student is being creepy or mean. No. Absolutely no. Teachers, parents, and other authority figures need to stop telling kids this.
Well, I doubt they're teaching the class these days. But when I took Advanced Programming Techniques using Fortran, our professor added a line to all our projects stating that all programs had to be written in Fortran and only in Fortran. When a student asked F why he'd added that, he told the class to ask me. I just grinned. I still got a perfect score on the one where I had a Fortran shell call an assembler subroutine which did 99.99% of the work. Hey.
Didn't understand most of this, but congrats on the result. That must have been such a victorious moment.
The school website is no longer accessible out of school hours.
Thank you for watching. We upload new videos every day, so be sure to come back for more fun. Please consider liking and subscribing if you enjoyed the video.